That should mean that we're live. It's OBS is so bloody annoying with how it shows. Yep, yeah, okay. We are live again. Wonderful, wonderful. We are starting for real this time, and I will make the announcement. We're talking about the new Dev Diary. Woohoo! And I've made a proper playlist now. So yes, I used to do playlists, but I haven't for a while for some reason, because lazy. So, here we go with the three of us. What is it now? Yes, it's still economy. Buildings this time, I think, is the focus. I think that's what I wrote. I hope that's right. Hello, Cairo! Oh my gosh. The Cairo himself. That name sounds so
familiar. Egypt to join us.
Oh my gosh. Welcome. Welcome, Cairo. Hi to you too. Now, contractual observation. Yes, yes. You can't get enough of me. Oh my gosh. But now yes, number 9 from Johan. Whatever time 15 is for him, because it was not 15 for me when he posted it. The 9th of its
PM, so.
But it most definitely was not 3 p.m. for me.
And it would be, and I believe they are 7 hours ahead of us, so that would be for Central Time. That would 8 a.m.
Ah, that would make sense then. Today, buildings, I believe, are the main topic of conversation. So we're talking about constructing things. Yes, in the previous Dev Diary, mentioning how you need lumber for expanding the mines. Yes, which is very curious. How does that? So that means that you use resources. We're playing Settlers of Catan this time around. Almost all construction require different materials to progress, and if the material is not available in the local market, then the construction is stalled. So you quite simply cannot build roads, shipbuilding, recruiting. Okay, even recruiting regiments require certain materials. Oh gosh, I wonder.
I mean, what, are you gonna send them in to fight with their fists?
Maybe. Do we have the option?
Obviously, they are the unvanquished master of the East.
I mean, if you think about it, all you'll need to create for them are dice, because, I mean, that's how they fought in EU4. They just rolled dice at each other.
Yeet.
More elegant weapon.
Get a 6, get a 6, get a 6.
Yeet. Oh, I rolled a 9, he rolled a 0. You're gonna get fucked up, nerd.
Dab. But, I don't know, maybe, does this mean that we might have the option to, if, because I imagine as tech advances, you'll need different resources, maybe? Maybe gunpowder is a thing that is manufactured?
They've discussed, or rather it's been mentioned in the past, how they want armies to transition. You know, at the start of the game, it will essentially be feudal levies that you raise, and at the end of the game, you'll have formal standing armies. So I imagine developing that sort of technological resource base will be a major part in being able to successfully make that. Because obviously, you need to be able to produce gunpowder, you need to be able to forge the gun foundries, produce uniforms, so on and so forth.
If you take a little look at that paragraph right below the monastery in Girona, it mentions building a light ship in the age of Renaissance, specifically, suggesting that it has different requirements in other ages.
For example, building a light ship in the age of Renaissance requires naval supplies, lumber, weaponry, just the material weaponry, copper, tin, and metal. What the
Oh yeah,
and moving your capital.
That part of the Dev Diary yet. Suffice to say, there are many resources.
I am looking forward to the rest of this very muchly. Copper, tin. What?
I believe there's more resources now planned for EU5. Project Caesar.
Whoa, yeah.
Are in Victoria 3.
Yeah. It's March of the Eagles 2. Get it right.
Hello, Icy. Nice to see you as well. We have everyone from the Realms team. This is what happens. I just amalgamate everyone from the Realms team. This is a terrifying thought. They're all under my sway. Yeah. Expanding RGO. Isn't an RGO some sort of farm?
So the RGOs essentially mean like rural goods of sorts, so non-manufactured goods. So the stone that you mine,
Okay.
the lumber that you chop
So
down, the food that you gather.
just like how they said, yeah, expanding the mines. So it's just, I suppose every location on the map will then have it'll have like a
RGO.
building that just has, yeah, it's just the RGO building, and you can upgrade it. Which
I know it's an acronym for something. I'm pretty sure there are stones for rural. Let me see.
Probably rural good something, yeah.
Rural good output,
Why?
perhaps.
Well, I can tell you, I'm not getting a. I don't think it's reduced graphene oxide.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we're dealing with reduced. Yeah, I mean, reduced. I really like this glass image, by the way. I keep staring at it. The image we have for glass. It's like a stained glass window that's it's tilted at an angle. It just looks. All these three images look very appealing. I'm very curious. What I want to see what tin and copper look like. Please show me.
Oh, you might see more.
Very soon. Okay. Keep reading it. But yeah, the Age of Renaissance, which I suppose now we know that's that wouldn't actually be the first age. That would be another age. So we're probably having the Age of Feudalism, then the Age of Renaissance, and then you have like Age of Exploration and stuff after that. I need to move myself over a bit.
Provided that they're using the age system, because they may not. It's possible he's just using that as kind of a shorthand for time era.
It's been mentioned that they're going to be tracking ages somehow, but that they are not the same system. So
yes, he did mention ages do exist, but not in the same way as EU4.
That's something that yes, Dark and I are keenly going to be watching for, because we might like to try messing around with alternative ages where you can do certain things to cause different ages to happen in mods. Because you can hypothetically do that in EU4, but no one's tried it yet, I think. But just buildings are rather important in Project Caesar. There are hundreds of different types of buildings. Some can only be built in rural locations, and some require a town or city. Some can only be built in ports, and some can only be built in other countries. You can build an embassy?
Treaty ports.
Treaty ports.
Treaty port.
Coming in. We have to be able to import the anime.
I'm gonna build up my Macau.
Some you can only build when there is no owner of a location.
Colonies.
That's how they're doing it then. Oh no. No.
I think there's a slight difference. I think the buildings here that they're specifically talking about would be like fur trader outposts, similar to how the French did colonization, and it'll be something slightly different for actual settler colony. Like Britain. At least that's my gut instinct. Because
I think he actually answered it in this thread, where he said that you do build them in in empty provinces.
Well,
we'll get to the dev responses soon, but I'm pretty sure I remember reading that.
I'm just very curious to see how colonization works now with because I'm sure that we're gonna have like Imperator's whole depopulation. Like I'm not gonna be surprised at all if some parts of Europe just stop being owned after the Black Death has rolled through, and I'd like to see, and I'd be very curious to see if that is the case. How does just grabbing more land work? How can you glomp onto some more? Random parts of England are just gone. How do I grab it back? Or how do I steal it as someone else and pull a funny? Lots of buildings are unique to cultures, religions, regions, religions are even specific to. So that's probably like what we we'd been talking about last time to do with silk. Silk is probably then, yeah, silk is probably tied to either region or tags, but
the notion that
or
there
culture.
are specific buildings tied to cultures, regions, religions, or even specific tags, it does make me curious if this is how they're doing like wonders, you know.
Like you could
Like,
make one?
like Big Ben is a unique building that can only be constructed once, but it doesn't have to be built in London. It could be built in anywhere in the British Isles, something like that.
I could see that
Because
being
that
the
would-
case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Told us
Huh.
Versailles and Marseille.
Yeah, exactly. Or the palace in Avignon.
And here was my small brain way of thinking. It's like, oh, I mean, yeah, like different churches, a mosque, Catholic cathedral. Didn't think about it this like that. Maybe some countries have unique colony buildings. Maybe the French get a special kind of fur trader. Maybe that sort of thing. Who knows?
French get a special guillotine building.
Yes,
Of
yes.
course.
Increases public order at the cost of population per month. Yeah, that's just true, Goat. I don't know. Every single time Wild World comes in here and says, hi, it's icy, but yeah, that's exactly what someone who is not icy would say. Got me thinking. Very suspicious indeed. Yeah, some buildings only have one level, some have fixed caps, and some have caps that scales with population or development. Are you saying that there's both development? Development is different from
I feel
just
like
buildings?
development might be tied to similar to what we've done with the Dwarven buildings and realms, whereas development is more determined by the productivity and the building and infrastructure of a province rather than an arbitrary number.
Yeah, it might be. I imagine it's probably. It's got to be something similar to that, and with like in that whole no. Or I'm imagining it's the concept of I'm gonna turn on bloody streamer mode so I stop getting notifications.
Yes.
Hey, listen. Hey, listen.
Yeah.
Listen.
Okay. If he knows, but yeah, I imagine it's probably quite similar to the whole civilization level thing in Imperator, where you build up the city, it is considered more developed.
Yeah, that's probably it. It's probably civilization level.
Population development, but yeah, you need a certain amount of development to build, I don't know, a bank. I don't bloody know. Buildings can be categorized into 3 different categories. Some that produce goods. Yeah, so stuff like the cloth, I guess. Buildings that can only give effects. Buildings that only give effects. And buildings that can only be built by the estate. Only built by the estates. Oh.
You could see a perfect example of that one right below that.
Those pure
Yeah,
estates usually have a drawback
what you want
as well. Okay. So yeah, and they're not necessarily something you always want, and it's not always easy to remove them either. So yeah, you got the church, whatever the 10 candles are.
Those
3, 2,
are.
1.
I'm pretty. Oh, I'm not quite sure what.
Isn't that the
Clergy?
icon for clergy? For clergymen?
I didn't think that was the symbol for clergy.
I thought it was like a book or something.
Well, let's take a look.
Take a look.
They've got the symbol for the peasants. I'm pretty sure that's what the symbol over here is, though. We've got the pitchfork and sword, I think, is the peasantry symbol. But the clergy and peasant, why does it give the peasants more power? That's the thing that really confuses me. Very interesting. And it's not easy to remove them. It's like, you
It
just
is.
want to... It is the church? Like, is the clergy?
Yeah, if you look at this picture, you can see right there, right next to clerics, candles.
Ah! You're right.
That still feels a little odd to me, but okay.
There's probably going to be... I don't think we've really seen it yet, but literacy is a thing in this they've mentioned, so I imagine that that is what uses the book. So, candles... you imagine... You relate candles to church, so... Works well enough for me. Lots of religions have incense. Almost every religion, I assume, has some sort of incense thing, so that's not too strange to me. But yeah, 10 of the influence or something to the... I don't know, like 10 employment? Maybe?
Probably
I don't
10
know.
jobs. Because if you scroll
Yeah.
down a little bit, you'll see castle, which has 1,000 peasants.
What really confuses me is just like the peasant power, but whatever.
Peasants
The
congregate every
church
Sunday.
the church makes the peasants more powerful. To establish the perfect utopian peasants republic, we must empower the church.
I
That's
guess so. It only makes sense.
I guess it's because it's like a gathering of peasants.
That's a good point. That's a good point. There's not many other places that would be something that would empower peasants either, and this is a because there'd be other things that would like empower the church more directly, I imagine, than just a place of worship. Definitely not something we're all keen on having in here. Does increase demands for some goods. Oh, so the production method, like the idea being it increases the demand for those goods here because it uses them
Yes.
to be built.
And
So the idea is like it requires to be maintained. That makes sense. So what about producing buildings then? This is where the truly I'm excited. This is where the truly fun parts of the economy begins. I want to see how we make cloth and stuff. Project Caesar has a large amount of different goods. We currently have 70 different ones that have different needs. Some are needed for the military, some are needed solely by pops, and some are needed by buildings and so on. Oh boy. Producing buildings in towns and cities go from guilds and workshops to manufactories and mills at the end, I imagine, of the game. These include everything from paper-making guild to foundries. A producing building outputs one or more types of goods. Yes. Finally, we have buildings that are purely giving an effect. These include granaries that increase how much food you can store, libraries that increase literacy, and different types of forts. Different types of forts, okay. Buildings that train manpower, so okay, as well, yeah. Port buildings to help with shipbuilding and much more. So, as you had said, the castle. 1,000 peasant. Gives the following benefits: location, garrison size, plus 500, and allows zone of control, yes. Ooh, fun, fun, fun.
maybe one day we'll get zones of control in CK3.
Never. Never, it's not allowed. Sorry.
It'd be so useful.
Yeah.
You couldn't just walk through the Black Gate.
I'd really like... You can't just walk into Erebor then either, yeah.
One does not simply walk into mortar. Yes, you do.
It just costs 200 casualties. Simple. Yes,
Simple.
Zone of control. And then I guess stone, probably iron, and then weaponry and tar?
Like boiling tar, also tar to like
I
bind
guess.
stones.
Yeah. It's probably tar. Yeah.
That's tar.
Which, okay, yes, Joffrey, that's tar. Duh.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Miniatur.
No. But yeah, I guess you make tar in some building or other. Some claim you can build stockades of wood, but we trust only stone. I do wonder then if whether you can make some defensive building out of stone.
I think they're making a joke
Yeah,
on the fact that they've restricted it only to stone.
You can make stockades. It's later in a dev response.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I've read. I've read them.
He's
I
been
read some of them, but only about the first page worth.
To the second page.
almost all the buildings, though, have a production method which impacts how they work.
Straight from Victory.
Holy shit! I keep saying it. There's going to be no reason to play any other games. It's just going to be CK3 and EU5. That's the only games that are going to matter.
Somebody made a really poignant point or comment on the Reddit thread after this release, basically saying either this is going to be the flagship for the next 10 years or it's going to fail absolutely miserably. There's going to be zero in between.
I think.
Yeah.
I agree.
It just depends on how well they do combat.
I'm inclined to believe it's going to go to do very well indeed, but we will have to see.
Even if they just copy paste EU4 combat, I think it's gonna be fine.
Even if they did that, I would still be fine. I would not be happy about it, and it would lower my opinion and expectations a lot, but I don't think they're going to do that.
I vastly would prefer that to Vicky 3 combat.
Well, he said it's not going to be Vicky 3, it's going to be Moving Army. So I expect I'm expecting something very close to Imperator's combat style.
Which I would not mind at all. I think that Imperator is just a little bit. It's a little bit better than EU4's. Not a ton, but like I like what they're cooking.
It's a simple yet logical evolution of the EU form of army control. So
and
I would be very much down for Imperator style.
And I suspect that we will have that. Yeah, it's going to probably be very much in line with the whole you raise the levies. You do the whole Imperator / CK3. You raise the levies, group the levies together. Or a CK2 thing, I mean. You CK2 and Imperator thing, where you raise the levies, you group them together, send them off, and then eventually you get your legions, or men-at-arms. However, I would not be surprised if a fair amount of people would have some men-at-arms to start with, even in the Middle Ages, but we'll have to see how standing armies work at the start once we get there, and that will be very exciting. But I'm still just this is great. Everything, this is awesome. Production method, oh boy. Yeah, production method is a list of goods that are required for a building to function. Yeah, all right. Yeah, there are two categories of production methods that those that produce something and those that do not. As an example, a castle does not produce any goods, but it still requires stone, metalworks, weaponry, and tar. So I guess the church then also requires things to function, like candles. But if it does not get those goods, then the castle will not function properly. The effectiveness of a building is based on the lowest available percentage of goods present, and it will only purchase and use required materials in that percentage required. If the market cannot supply enough resources, then it will not work. The output to the producing buildings also.
What do you mean that my knights fight if they can't get horses?
Just send them out there. That's in medieval too.
You think an honorable noble knight would lower himself to fight shoulder to shoulder with the peasantry?
We don't need no horses. We've got coconuts.
Medieval 2 Total War has a ton of just, you take a knight, dismounted English knights, dismounted Frankish knights. So I don't know. That's not going to be in this though. Yeah. You just need your horse. You can't recruit knights without them. I'm sure. That's good. Oh, that's an interesting thought. Now, what happens? So you got your medieval levy that is like, how much of it consists of knights? Just like, how is that military going to work?
I imagine the percentile of knights will be dependent on the nobility population.
Yeah.
Whereas the infantry will pull from the peasantry.
Presumably you could get some more. You'd get some more capable burgher troops as well from cities,
yeah.
But and I imagine the Byzantines will Maybe? I don't know. Don't know if the Byzantines still have a professional army at this point. I would not be surprised if they don't.
Probably
Seeing
not.
it-
I don't think so.
They do-ish. It's not in the best of shape.
They did, in fact, just like a decade before Game Start, dismantle their navy and started relying entirely on the Genoese for boats. So, I'm not holding out hope for the professional Byzantine army. But here are our examples. We got quite a few. Nice. Animal
Although
parchment.
This discussion of different
Huh.
types of units and building based on culture and such, it's really making me curious how they're going to differentiate steppe, because a steppe economy works so much drastically different than a settled economy, and also how their military functions and supplies is radically different from a. So I don't know if they're going to have just completely unique buildings or what have you, but I'm fascinated how they end up making it work.
They probably would have like a smaller set of very just good buildings for what they do. As if they probably just have a lot of like they probably have some buildings that are unique. Like I imagine that they are very restricted on what they can build, or maybe not, but an economy in my steppe, what's that? I would imagine that the economy in your steppe would consist of a horse and goat, and that is the length and breadth of it.
Hey, they have sheep.
Oh no, that might be giving too much credit.
Hey, they also have grass.
At the same time, like they need to be able to build. It's like they build like your typical RGOs, of course. Like they got to be able to get their wood, stone, and stuff for other buildings and all that. But it's probably in regards to hordes. Yeah, I would just not be surprised if they get bonuses to the effectiveness of maybe a unique one or two. Wait, what did they do about debt gaming? Oh, God, that's what we talked about last time. Well, if you want to talk about debt, go watch the last stream. Oh my gosh, you won't believe what they did to cripple debt gaming.
TLDR, they tied debt to the estates. So the estates
Yeah.
are the ones who offer you loans, and it's at much higher interest rates than before. So the infinite money pool from EU4 has been.
There's talking.
There's also now going to be banking countries that you can try to approach and get loans from. So that'll be fun.
You can take loans from the Medicis. And the Fugers. Yes. The Fugger banks. Probably the Swiss are probably going to be people that get a bonus to like lending out loans to people. But yeah, you can take loans from other people and non-existent countries, just the banking countries, and from your estates. And if your estates run out of money to let that they feel like lending you, then and you're out of money. If you run out of loans to take from your estates and you aren't taking loans from someone else, then you go bankrupt automatically. Yeah.
And supposedly going bankrupt is far more punishing than an EU4, which was already pretty damn punishing. So.
Yes. I'm very curious to see what exactly the penalties are. However, I would not be surprised if they don't actually have those penalties sorted out yet, and they're just saying that because they're like, we want to make them very punishing, but we don't. We're gonna make them so much worse. But since they didn't say anything,
after these messages,
yeah, Johan will return. We'll talk about that in more detail next week. Animal parchment is a funny concept I've never thought about.
It's like vellum, I think.
That's literally just vellum.
I've never heard that term. I'm sorry.
Vellum? Really?
I've never heard of that.
It's literally just like leather paper. It's incredibly durable and long lasting.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. Huh.
Huh. Weird.
Interesting. This was. Well, what do you suppose then the rag paper is? Like, what is the?
Cloth.
Yeah.
Oh.
Paper by the looks of it.
This
Then you
does
got
not
your-
sound very efficient.
Doesn't look like it. And then you got your marijuana paper.
Yes, yes, the fiber pulp paper. I like how. Yeah, the interesting to me that the least efficient seeming one of these is actually just the wood, the one that's like pure wood paper. Huh.
Wood is
But it's
probably just
also the
super
most
cheap.
profitable of the bunch, if you look at that.
It is making the money, yeah. So
It's probably because the wood.
Because wood is dirt cheap in comparison to the other stuff, which makes sense.
at least at this stage of time, yeah, because these are all the fiber pulp, whatever that material is. I mean, it looks like merit. Yeah,
I'm
it's
surprised
the
the hemp is so expensive.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of hemp. That's almost an entire
Well, that's a
unit
lot
of hemp.
more
So
wood. That's more than 1 unit of wood.
yeah, you're right. I suppose that is true. It is more expensive than the wood, but that doesn't surprise me too much. That wood would be cheaper than just stuff than things you need to farm. And then of course, yeah, I can definitely see the rag and animal parchment paper being, gosh, you get so little. It's so expensive to make that then, and it all just makes paper too, so it's not even like. But this is good. This is good though, because this is a great way of letting you, depending on where you are, these different production methods. These different production methods will then let you, depending on where in the world you are, what resources you have, make paper anyway. I imagine the animal parchment is probably a lot cheaper if you're a tribe. if you're on the steppe and you insist on making paper for some reason, that's the paper you want to make, I'm sure.
Egypt, probably, because you don't really have many
Egypt.
trees there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good question how that works. How even it works, whereas, yeah, how many counties are you going to have that are like, yes, this is a place with the wood RGO? Probably not so many. There's probably a lot more where you can produce stuff that you can farm. And wouldn't it be interesting, though, if you could choose to swap between some? I don't think that will be the case, but it would be pretty interesting if you could somehow swap between, like, what if I want to grow hemp as opposed to grains, kind of thing. But I doubt that will be the case, and I don't care if that is. It's not necessary, but yeah, I like You hope they won't change anything related to debt to appease the 10k hour MP only tryhards. What does that mean, though?
Dracat mercenaries are in such a broken state, and everyone knows it.
Yeah, they're gonna like. What it sounds like they're making changes to, debt, is to make it worse for you to go into debt. So it is a worse idea for you to just ruin your country because you want to win a war, and instead you probably want to, because already in EU4 it's pretty rough for you to go into debt to win, like, or for you to go into a not debt's easy, but the an actual bankruptcy is pretty awful. So they're making it worse. So yeah. Moving along, there are a few options here, but only wood pulp would be profitable here, probably because of the great supply of lumber in this market. Yes. Which market is it? Which one is it? Where is this market? No, I must know. Is it in Russia? What?
He has much wood.
Yeah. Of course, you can automate the production method selection, so it will
Thank God.
adapt based on monthly basis for what
Man, I wanted to have to do this for
available.
every single location in my country, just like in Stellaris.
Well, thank God that they are letting you. Thank God they're letting you automate this economy stuff, because this is the type of micromanaging I do not care for most of the time.
With how modular it's going to be, too, France is going to be so dense. I can't imagine trying to build up France and then also have to be like, swap stuff.
Imagine building up China.
No, I don't think I will. Thank you very much. You're going to get into this game, Hendrix. Yeah, what you're trying to understand, but it happened. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to force you to get into it because you need to play my epic OC mod. Yeah, you need to play our mod. It's gonna be great.
Realms in Joffrey.
Yes,
Realms in Joffrey.
It's all just inside Joffrey.
Joffrey and Exile.
Mm-hmm.
Realms in Exile, but similar to how Duke sometimes makes all the names just not legitimate OC countries.
Oh God.
Not copyright infringing at all.
Mhm.
Legally distinct entities. It's the same deal, but they're all based off Joffrey.
UI also
Gone
allows
Joff.
for more macro
More
decisions regarding production. More Joff? More Joff? Yeah. Sand Joff?
Eyes in Joff. Riven Joff.
Saying that you hope they don't
Florian.
tone down the debt changes just to appeal. Oh, you're saying that you hope that they go with what will make the best game and don't bow down to pressure from the sorts of people who like debt the way it is now. I don't think there's many people that do like debt or mercenaries as they function now in the game.
I'm sure
I-
that there are some min-maxers who like it for single player and stuff, because there are types that just like breaking the game over their knee.
Yeah.
And so I could see them not being happy with it, but from everything I've seen, the vast majority of the feedback has been very positive. At least in theory.
Dark, with how you said that mercenaries in EU4 right now are severely broken, I actually like the premise of how they work now a lot more than how they used to.
But they just don't work because you just ignore your debt, flood out mercs, go bankrupt, and then just replace the mercs again.
Maybe I'm
Sounds
just
like
not
you-
good enough to use them to their full potential, because I've never
Yes.
done anything like that.
I don't understand the concept of what you are explaining, but I'm sure it is very dangerous and abusable by someone like you who knows.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Well, it's important for stuff to not be broken, so easily broken like that, and they seem to care a lot about that for this game as well. So, yeah, I do like, yeah, exactly, Drac. I like the concept of how they work. I would like if people like Dark, who are way too good at the game, can't abuse them. But I very much enjoy the concept of, yeah, you hiring different merc companies from different regions, and then in mods you can have stuff like the Marhold Griffin Riders. That's very fun stuff. But along. Other important aspects: every building requires employed pops. Yes, because like the castle needs the 1K peasants. Those that require upper class pops like burghers, clergy, and nobles also increase the potential for them in the location, making pops slowly promoted. This can be slightly awkward as powerful nobles or clergy construct more buildings that make them more numerous and powerful. So, I suppose, yeah, there's probably some buildings like a noble estate, which will probably be a variant of like a farm building that will, or just a variant of an RGO building. I don't know, something like that, where it's something that the nobles will build, and it will make more nobles, and then, oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, so the normal RGO buildings and the normal castles might not increase the power of the estate, but the ones they build do. Maybe. So maybe there's a castle that the nobles specifically can build or something?
Probably just called Noble Estate or something.
There definitely will be a building called Noble Estate. Something to that effect.
I also,
the noble blood demands it.
I'm fairly sure they're also gonna have a building called Stone Quarry.
I don't think so.
I just have a feeling.
I don't think that's
Yeah.
weird. I don't have any.
Why the
I
hell
don't.
would they do that?
Stone quarry. Like, just call it a stone mine. Huh.
And they
So,
call it a mine.
Yeah.
A mine.
Producing buildings that are not profitable will be closed, and pops will work in other buildings. Wow. Yep. It's Vicky. All right. However, you can always subsidize a building if you require the goods.
Yeah, don't you know? Your farmers will start protesting if you reduce their farming subsidies.
Johan looked at Vic 3 and was like, fine, I'll do it myself, I guess.
Speaking of profit, the profit of a building is added to the tax base of a location, split among the power of the population in the location. You can always close and open a building if you want to manipulate prices, or if you want your pops to work with other things and you don't want to destroy a building permanently. So you can forcibly shut down a mine if you're like, no! You will go to the city and you will start making cloth. You will stop mining that stone because I have no need for it. We have way too much. So stop. I imagine that's the thing you could do.
The children yearn for the mines.
No! The children yearn for the looms now. They shall spin and they shall spin.
Minecraft.
No!
I'm just saying, as soon as we took them out of the mines, they started playing Minecraft.
This is a good point. I didn't think about that.
Give them a pickaxe and tell them to go find diamonds.
We mentioned last week about different ways to get raw materials, and one way to get it, besides trade, is through a set of rural buildings. These include lumber mills that you can build in any wood or forest location to produce lumber. Oh God. So lumber, sheep farms, stone quarries, and many more. So you will be able to have more than one RGO building in a province, in a location then. Probably.
Perhaps.
Because you could have, like, something that is woods and a hill, maybe. Because, I mean, civilization told me that you can only build mines in hills.
Perhaps.
I don't know. Though. And many more. Yes, this what stone quarry? Oh God! Oh, it was true. There is one. But yes. Oh, clay. That's nice. I like that picture for clay too. I just want to squish it. It's either something I want to squish or something I want to eat. I don't think you want to eat clay, but it looks like candy. Yum.
You eating clay explains so much.
No.
You literally just eat bricks before they get turned into bricks.
No. I don't. I eat Play-Doh.
That's also not good for you.
It is very healthy. I don't know what you mean. I showed you that picture of that toy earlier. And you see, you stick the Play-Doh in and he grows hair. See, I eat lots of Play-Doh and eventually it will make my hair grow. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, tell me when that works out.
So you get your 1K. I guess it's probably quite often in your just standard unit of 1K peasants. Just to be, we're gonna have professional armies of 1K dudes again. uh, I assume this is just the help. We've seen this a couple times now where there's like, I mean, there's 1, 2, and a 3, so which is probably upgrade tiers or something. And this is like explaining what the building does in more detail or something. I don't know what the food is though. Like if it consumes food, if it produces food, maybe it's just ambivalent to food, I suppose. But yeah, presumably this building is taking iron, wood, and then the leather to make stone. But yes, yeah, stone. Good, good, good. Yes, this requires some input. Might be worth it. Gosh, yeah, it really is just going to be a case of like you're playing Vicky 3 in some like, oh, if you're playing a tribe somewhere and you've got really crappy like infrastructure built up, then you got to slowly work your way bit by bit. Like, well, we need to cut down the trees, and to cut down the trees, we need this resource to build the building that cuts down the trees, and then and then these production methods. There are stockpiles of goods, but those are in the market. There are buildings you can build that increase the amount they can store. As if you do not have the goods required for a building, unit, or construction, they will not finish. Yeah, they've been saying that a bunch. Just if you don't have what it needs, you just can't make it, which is fair. Speaking of markets, that's one thing we'll talk. Yes, next week they talk about markets and trade. Thank goodness.
We'll see if it's locked in place or not.
Can't wait for our locked in place single directional trade route system.
Oh no.
Can't wait for the English channel to just have all the trade goods it will ever need.
Playing Anbanar has traumatized me with Dame's Crown. The Dame's Crown trade node has given me severe trauma. I can't have that anymore. I can't take this no more. What if I want to turn the deep woods into the center of trade? Maybe Central Africa deserves to be the height of the trade in Southern Hemisphere, huh?
Nah.
No, you're destined to be a starting node. You're useless.
Yep. Yeah, you're getting it finally.
No. It's bad.
That's how things were always meant to be.
It's so bad.
Maybe in EU5 you can finally go trade Poland.
Yes, Drac, maybe in EU5 you can actually make Trade Empire Poland work. Whoa! Maybe not, though.
In Poland.
Maybe not, though. Maybe it was just a dream all along.
Poland cannot into space.
Nope. Well, I guess...
Dev question.
I guess it's time to look at dev-only responses. Wow, this is a big one. Jeez, wow. Stockpiles confirmed, so food reserves by province. Yes, food reserves in your provinces, that's good, so you can stock up on food in case of the bad. If the bad was to happen, I don't know. Like a siege. A siege is a bad. How many languages will there be? What? Oh, translations. Yeah.
As in localization.
Zone of control confirmed, I guess. Yes. Zone of control has some common with U4. Okay. Because in Imperator, if you occupy the only fort, if you occupy every fort in a state, then it automatically will give you the rest of it. And I imagine that's part of what he's talking about, is that it probably has...
I believe he... My brain's not working. I believe he goes on at length later about it. It's basically exactly that. It'll project your... Basically, a fort is built in a location, but if you take the fort, it'll give you control over the whole province. That's the only... That's
Yeah.
the deal.
Which makes sense. If it doesn't have a fort, it's bad.
Which is similar to how the Imperator does it, where if you control the province, or if you take a fortification, it'll give you control over all the tiles.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It would be... I'm curious if that will be exactly how it works in this, though, because we'll have to see how large the areas are. Yes, how big a state is. To see if that and I'll be curious to see if these are actually the case. Yeah, you take that fort, does it give you the whole state? Is that true? How big are states, relatively speaking? We have a very vague idea of some places, but yeah, I assume, Drac, that you can depopulate and that you can depopulate counties and have them become uncolonized in this, but we'll have to see for sure. Because the Black Death is going to be a thing, Drac. So it's like the first 10 years of the game are going to be you setting up before the Black Death rolls in. So I would not be surprised at all if you can have just pockets of England just becoming uncolonized, for example.
I'm skeptical it will get that bad, because even at the worst heights of either the Black Death or, say, the 30 Years' War, the most you saw was like a 50% drop in population. You didn't like...
Right, 50% is really bad.
It's really bad, and you would see like entire villages abandoned.
Yeah, but that's not the same as an entire region being, lost.
It is the same as a location being lost, though.
I don't know. We'll see.
But yeah, as you're saying, Drac, one pop in Imperator is 1k people or so. And here they are tracking every single person. It is not a case of like here is a pop. You have one pop. No, they are tracking every single person. So you will in fact look at the city of France and it will say this many human beings live here. This many thousands of people are living here. So
the city of France.
Did I say that? Did I say the city of France?
Yes.
Am I getting tired? Why am I tired? I shouldn't be tired right now.
Becomes city-state.
The city of France.
A kinder fate than some would give it.
Wake up! Wake up! Okay, so the city of Paris. I'll tell you this: how many thousands of people live in the city of Paris? There we go. I don't think the performance is going to suffer. The performance of pops isn't affected. Isn't like an issue in any game other than like Stellaris. So I highly doubt that will be a problem.
And that's because of the sheer amount of things every single pop is doing in Stellaris. Johan did the pops for Vic 2, so he said they're going to basically be like Vic 2 pops, and those run perfectly fine.
In location, import goods outside the local market. We'll talk about trade next week, but yes, you can trade resources between markets. Does this mean that the Pope also has needs or only buildings in Navy? What? There are plenty of things needing...
Pops, not Pope. Pops, not Pope.
I'm so dumb. What the hell is wrong with me?
Honestly, I'm kind of impressed.
How did I think popes? Does this mean that popes have needs?
No, they don't.
Popes have needs too, you know.
I was reading it and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. What? What the heck would popes have needs? Oh
They
no.
need to be okay. See, the fancy hat need is gonna be
Yeah.
very present for them.
You need to have a building that creates the fancy pope crowns. They're very inefficient.
And a Pope-mobile. Don't forget, we need a
Mm-hmm.
Pope-mobile.
True.
Yes, there are plenty of things that need goods, and I imagine pops will have needs. I'm sure that the nobles and the clergy will have particular good requirements. And what? Why am I tired right now? That doesn't make any sense.
You're weak.
I'm weak. I'll get over it soon. Trust me.
Weak and pathetic.
No, I'm not. The zone of control in the castles. Hope the invisible walls from EU4. What? You hope the invisible walls from EU4 will be abandoned and more immersive systems of CK3 will be used? Oh no. EU4 zone of control has a couple of... Oh no, please no. Rules are more similar to Imperator, which was a 2.0 of the system.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
In the Napoleonic age, you can freely ignore zones of control if you go out the tech for it. Huh?
As in, we'll finally be able to do what the AI does all the time in EU4 and ignore those pesky zones of control and walk right
Interesting.
past
Yeah.
Because by the point of Napoleonic warfare, you know, supply lines and armies were moving so fast and moving so much men and material that, you know, fortification wasn't really effective to harry an enemy's supply lines.
Yeah.
And stop them from moving through the land, because that is what a fortification, you know, in say EU4 is fundamentally supposed to, you know, kind of extrapolate or...
Yeah, if you just walk past these people, they're going to steal your food trade routes, your food supply lines. Yeah, I know there's such supplies. So, yeah. Which is to say, it's gonna be. Yeah. Okay. This is good. This is a good thing. I definitely like the Imperator system for forts. Which it's not a surprise at all that they're going to be using a variant of that, because Imperator really was the tech demo. Peacetime action! We'll have something to do during peacetime! Yes. Making buildings, expanding the RGOs, handling trade, dealing with estates and the parliament. Yeah. I am sure that there's going to be plenty of things to do when you're at peace that will give you pause for thought when it comes to, do I want to start a war right now because I really want to spend this money on upgrading my buildings and it costs a lot of money to fight, and you probably during levy times your levies are you know, taking people out of your economy. Good old-fashioned peasant economy. So yes, fun stuff. Will buildings decay? And therefore require small amounts of good to maintain. Yes. The production method. It is part of that cost. Exist warehouse and wicked stock resource. I had a moment of thinking I'm going insane again, and this is another. Do popes have requirements? But no, this is just exist warehouse. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, you can build stockpiles, I guess. Yes. Victoria Light. Okay, do occupied provinces produce stuff? Say, is there Sweden? Yeah, Sweden copper mine. Yeah, everyone's talking about the bloody copper mine. Big exporter of copper. Does that mean that the copper in the market drops and other countries are impacted? Does Russia get to sell the copper? It will be produced, but market access and other things like occupation and sieges will impact the volume. Okay. So there will just, yeah, a lot less. Yeah, that makes sense. A lot less will reach the market. Next week! Level of variance for markets and good prices. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. How much? Yeah, talking about market variance and prices and things, of course. Next week. This is not something we've seen before. He's responding with new stuff to a question. I just hope dealing with production methods isn't tedious. Will it be very unoptimal and automate the majority? Very unoptimal to automate. Yeah, I'd like to think that it will be somewhat coherent. Primarily, we'll use production methods to differentiate inputs, but also to improve
Vector's
efficiency.
Wi-Fi has committed seppuku.
Has it?
Yes.
Oh no!
Uh-oh.
The boy is gone.
We'll be back soon.
Hopefully soon, TM. Yes.
Location.
95 to 99% good enough to have it on automatic for many people. Yeah, I highly doubt many people are going to want to be micromanaging their whole country unless you're playing very tall and have a very good idea of what you're doing.
Wrong. I'm gonna do it as China.
Yeah. All right. Let's go, buddy. Let's go.
You have no idea what you're in for, bucko.
Neither do you, guy. We have macro changing. You've got that.
I don't set any of the planets on auto.
You got that StarCraft Zerg.
Yeah, I got
action
that
for a
StarCraft
minute.
too.
Yeah.
Zerg AIPM, man. I didn't play the nerds that just press A move.
You must construct additional pylons. Stab. Filters on which buildings are affected, including filters like this. So, alright. Location control. But what do these filter? Wait, what? So it's filtering. What do these filters do? What? Macro changing PMs. Oh, he's back. Hello.
C is returned.
But yeah, macro changing PMs.
Yeah, I have no idea what this means.
You somehow set tell it that in your places that have certain amount of control, they should use a certain production method. So everything that has low control, you want to use the shit one that's less expensive, or this, and the same with market access, maybe. I believe but that something like that maybe. But sheesh. Can the states build their own build? Yeah. Yep, the states make their own stuff. Please tell me there will be no money overflow. 64-bit fixed. Okay. Whatever you say, buddy. I don't. Yeah. Yes, the market will not work. This is percentage based.
64-bit.
You only have 90% of the wood needed for paper to mill to function. Will it be 90% efficient? Does it work for forts? Yeah. I'm very... what happens to a fort if you can't quite supply the whole thing? Does it just tank its defensiveness, the garrison level, and other scalable modifiers? Okay. So it will still just... You will still have the fort and the fort level. It will still just have that intact, I guess, because that can't scale well, but it will have a lower garrison and stuff like defensiveness. So blocks the army passage like EU4. Oh god. Yeah, he straight up just does answer that. Okay, so yeah, stopped you from moving your army through places that have a fort, but And when you occupy the forts in a region, it just gives you the whole province. Yeah, nice. I enjoy that. That will be nice for sieging, because that will make yes, when you're sieging down a country, it will have you centralize you will have your armies clustered around a fort, and then when the fort falls, it gives you the whole countryside around it, because it makes sense. Hopefully production methods will change on their own. Yeah, because just do the auto button. We'll talk about markets later. Yeah. Yep, another thing about... Oh, this is something that I was interested in. Yeah, okay, so if an estate satisfaction is over 50%, then there's a dice roll checking versus their satisfaction if they should build something that's good for the country or one that's just good for them. That's exactly what I was hoping for, because I very much am interested in the idea of like what happens if you build a country that is quite large, but you can't get as much control over the estates. So if you keep them happy, how valuable is it to just have them like you and building stuff on their own? The good old fashioned CK2 capitalism, not CK2, bloody Vicky 2 capitalism. Though I guess that sort of
Free
works in
market
Vicky as
economy.
well. In Vicky
Laissez-faire.
3,
Let the
they
estates
sort of
do
have that.
as they will and spend as they will.
Yes, do the Dutch thing. Invent capitalism. Make the burgers build you all the buildings. So, yeah. I will be very curious to see what doing, play the Dutch, make the burgers extremely rich and also very happy with you, and just what will they build for you? How do estates guarantee inputs for their buildings? Suppose us as the crown are not in charge of that if they don't throw out building. The worst estate buildings have no input goods. They require... They just stop the player from easily ignoring them. Okay. Huh. So the ones that are the most annoying for the player actually don't even cost any maintenance, because I guess the idea is the estate fully pays the upkeep. But they have issues. They cause problems, and you don't usually want them. It's just it's a funny thing to imagine. Like, oh yeah, the clergy have built a parish. I don't want that church. Take it down. You must tear down this church because this is bad for me, the government. But yeah, I know, Derek, you and I talked about the fact that, I'm sure that for Catholics it'll be even worse than for a lot of other people to try and do things to restrict the church's lands.
Mm-hmm.
If it's even possible at all. I'm genuinely surprised that in EU4, Catholics don't have a unique clergy thing that stops them from being able to seize land from the clergy. They just don't. Take it that certain building production methods are left behind tech. Yes. Yes to the first, but coal exists from the start. Yeah, makes sense. Coal being around at the beginning is just like fuel. It's probably just it's useful. You burn it. It's just that you don't have bloody steam engines and such. But I'm sure there will be some uses for it. So that makes sense. Does the import of goods stop during wars? So you have a pretty small country on your border that doesn't produce tar, but they import it from you. Can you declare war and blitz their castles while they haven't resourced? Yeah, because they need tar from something else. We'll talk about trade next week.
We're going to be hearing that a lot.
But things are not always instant. Yeah.
Well, we'll stop hearing it next week.
Yes, next week we'll be Finally, when we stop hearing, next time. Sure, trust.
Time for another exciting episode.
Are the buildings built in locations with no owner tied to the new colonial system? Yes, that's what I was looking for. Buildings built in other countries, treaty ports. Nagasaki for the Dutch. Yes and yes. Yes! Yes and yes. Yes. I want to build treaty ports as the Dutch. Steal their market. Oh gosh, imagine. I want to. Oh. Oh, I want to be the Dutch and just steal Southwest Japan's market so badly. Just yoink. All your markets are belong to us. Sorry, the Shogun. You just don't get any access. Though Japan's probably split up into a ton of vassals, so it will just be all of those vassals are in the Dutch market, which is crazy to imagine if that is a thing you could pull off. All the daimyo in Southwest Japan.
Well, by the time you get to by the time the Europeans get to Japan, the Sengoku Jidai should have ended, but we'll see.
Disagree. I don't think that's true. Portuguese were there first. Right?
Alright, well, let's take a look at it. When did the Portuguese show?
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the Tokugawa Shogunate was established pretty well too.
No, the Portuguese were there before the Tokugawa Shogunate.
That's where they got their guns from.
Ended 1615.
Portuguese had been there since the mid 1400s.
Portuguese showed up 1543.
So,
well, they got a century.
It's like half a century. 60 years tops. 70 maybe.
In game terms, based on how Japan works in EU4, the Sengoku Jidai is probably going to be ending just a little early.
Well, let's hope it doesn't end in 1460 like it does in EU4.
I do think this might play into how do they manage to do subject management.
I imagine we're going to have a lot of different sorts of vassals, yeah. They're leaning into experimenting with that more in EU4 after all. I'm sure we're going to get even more or do we know? Actually, I don't know if we know all of the things that are coming with Winds of Change. But maybe there's more. We know everything that's coming.
Trees.
Yeah. No more extra new vassal types. Surely there's one.
Knowledge,
They're adding one.
Those Mongol brother realms, that'll be in your vassal type.
Can buildings done by estates stall the ones you want to build? But yes, but depends on the situation. Okay, I mean, I guess so. They do require, yeah. That would probably be pretty situational. You need to be tight on resources for something like that to happen. But the estates build something I don't want. I close or destroy it, then they build it again. I close it again, etc. So yeah, you can't close them, but you can destroy them. And that will make them set. So the equivalent to EU4's seize land is just, sorry, church. We're gonna destroy this church real quick. Yeah, I highly doubt it's gonna be. We'll have to see. I'm very curious to see what the benefits to destroying said buildings are to counteract. Like, to make it, like, actually something you'd want to do. Like, how bad is it that these buildings exist? How bad is it that the church is building a church?
God forbid.
Yeah, God forbid those peasants have a place to worship.
Me. Yeah.
Me.
Be like, yeah, God be
That's
like,
what-
God forbid.
Will there be any unique buildings? But yeah, okay. There's unique buildings. But what does that mean? Is this like, because there's the wonders thing? I don't know. We're probably getting some sort of like buildings that are like they're not wonders. They probably just, you know, a special build. It's a building. It's built here. You can build it here. It's special and unique. Like Big Ben. Wow. It's a big old tower. Notre Dame. Any chance of dynamic change of the vegetation in a location through human action, lumberjacking for a long period, transforming plains in farmland and stuff like
This
that?
is what Joffrey wants to know.
Maybe. Depends on the code technology I hope is ready soon. Oh no. Oh, it's something he wants to have as an option. But it depends on if the tech is there. Oh. Please,
What do you mean?
Johan. Please.
What do you mean? It's easy. Just put in, if trees chopped down equal yes, then forest turns into farmland. Duh.
I imagine the biggest thing that's difficult for them with this is like dynamically changing the map. You know? That's probably what the big issue is for them. Is dynamically changing the paint, like the map and how it's painted.
Pshaw.
Pshaw?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this and snuggle it at night. It will keep me warm in my darkest hours. I will look at this and I will remember. He's thinking about it. He's thinking about it. If the tech is available, then maybe. I really want it so bad. I want to be able to have the spell that turns something into a desert or a glacier.
I don't think you'll change topography.
No, please, Dark. Please. They need to let us do it. They need to. Oh. No. I want it. Is there need to spend goods for upkeeping units? Yep. No surprises there. You can use wood to mass-produce paper right from the start. Wow! Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Just pump out paper. Now, what do you do with it? You don't have any wood for building stuff. Sure, there was some paper making used what can be called wood, like bamboo in China. The market for paper is not huge in the 14th century industry, though. Yeah, that makes sense. You could fair enough. You could theoretically do it, but there's just not much of a reason for it. Yeah, check it. But there were the stockade building in Project Caesar. Okay, so yeah, there is a stockade building. You can make a wooden castle. Yay. I want my wooden castle. Like, yeah. Because, like, that movie, Braveheart, my favorite, least realistic movie ever, where the English, in their extremely evil-looking armor, build a wooden fort in Scotland. Yeah. Whoa. Will all buildings be usable by all people? If you conquer a location with a building you might not be normally able to build, but you still be able to operate it. Mostly, yes. Mostly, yes. But I mean, yeah, I imagine the situations where that's not the case are going to be pretty obvious. Probably some special buildings then. Unique ones where it's like, maybe you can't use, maybe if the Vatican is a special building, maybe you can't use that as a Muslim. I don't know. You can't use the funny Incan building as a European. Lake Texcoco, stuff like that. Native American things largely. That's another sort of thing. Oh, so you can't even make wood pulp paper until the last age. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Napoleonic era.
1843. So, yeah, the Napoleonic era being a thing.
I mean, he's already said that the scope of the game is an estimated 500 years, so that takes us from
Really?
1337 basically to 1836. Correct.
Huh. Just extend it a little more. You know, it's like make it to like 1850 or something. Just a little more, you know, just like yippee.
Thing is,
Like,
1836 is the first year of Vic 3.
Steal some more time from
Or
Vicky.
Vic 3.
I don't care. I don't want to play Vicky. Steal some more time. Wait. What? I just realized though, it's for the last age, though it would work in the Napoleonic era. So there's an era after the Napoleonic era.
No, I think it's just he's commenting about
Thought.
this person is mentioning how the wood pulp was only invented in our time in 1843. He's just saying that
okay.
it would work fine in the Napoleonic era too, if the technology wasn't covered.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Will there be
I can't cheat. Zone of control.
And the rules are less arcane than EU4, so will be less confusing. I don't think that the rules of forts are very arcane in EU4, but I haven't played enough.
You don't understand.
They can get a little arcane time. Just confirm it's possible to make the default. Yeah, okay. Yep. You can automate your country's production methods. Going to be honest, I think selectable production methods veers into I really did not need or hope for this in EU5. My immediate reaction is that it feels like an unnecessary level of detail compared to where I expect the focus to be. That doesn't mean it can't work though, just hope the micromanaging of this is not the optimal way to play. Yeah, the main reason being for reduce the amount of buildings makes a lot of sense, because changing your production method and just being like, yeah, this is this is just the paper building, and you just change what you use to make the paper. Like, that's so much easier than being like, well, I have lots of access to leather right now, and not much access to, I don't know, fiber. And then you change it later. It's like, oh, well, now suddenly I really want to be making my paper with fiber or something. Like if in the end of the game, if they didn't make it all just the paper building, it would be a case of you'd reach the end game and you get the wood pulp, and you need to delete all of your paper buildings and replace it with a new one. Which probably wouldn't be worthwhile as an investment, honestly. Turkish language. Everyone wants to know about language.
Imagine not speaking English. Poor guys. Then again, the only language I speak is English, so it sucks for me when anytime there's something that I want that is in a language other than English, it's like, oh my god, I gotta hope they translate it. But yes. What? Yeah, are tulips a luxury good? Yeah, flowers. Oh, I suspect it would. Yeah, if if they were based in the Netherlands, the tulip trade good. Imagine that. Oh god, that would be quite something. Instead, it's just that they get a super powerful copper mine and a unique version of the peasantry because they're so special. Does this mean the French are going to get a unique version of the bourgeois?
For trading on futures instead of the actual tulips themselves, because it was a pointless luxury fad being chased, and so people would sell their rights to future tulips, and so they kept selling them on each time, turning a bigger profit than the last until it completely got blown out of proportion, and then the tulips didn't show up. So the people at the end who had purchased the rights to the tulip were left holding the bag, essentially.
Oh. Wow.
Hence the economic crash.
Wow. I could have swore, I feel like we've gone through that recently here on the internet with NFTs.
It's almost like the same scam has been repeated for the past millennia or two, and people are just too stupid, and greedy people keep rolling back protections to stop the shit from happening again.
They want to assign value to things that have no value, and think that they can sell it for more value later.
I love it. The tulip NFTs.
At the very least, the goddamn tulips, at least there were flowers in there somewhere. They just didn't pan out because, shockingly enough, crops can die.
Tragic. The tulip economy crashed just because of one bad harvest. The upper class pops are all employed at buy buildings. Do they stop trying to fund more buildings? No, they will still make more. Yeah, well, because they make the more buildings, because when they make more buildings, then it increases the demand for more noble pops. So the line go up. More nobles, more noble power, more demand for things the nobles like in general, and yes, they become more influential. Do buildings automatically set production? Yes. Does the profit from building making a resource go to the tax base? Yes, it does. It means that you and the estates get that money. Well, the estates get the money, and then you steal it from them. Yes. Does the goods give a bonus like in EU? Oh gosh. Oh gosh, I hadn't even considered that. No. The thought of just like, yes. Cloth minus local dev costs. Oh my gosh. I completely forgot. It's like, yeah, just imagine. You get your...
Yeah.
Well, when you have a city, when you get Paris to be a city and it produces X amount of cloth, it lets you spend 10% less paper mana to increase its population. Whoa. But Johan, it would be very helpful if you could state the hardware that you think will not run the game. For example, if you are undecided between 16 gigabytes and 32 gigabytes of RAM, saying that 8 gigabytes of RAM will not be enough. Gigabytes RAM. Don't go with less than 32 gigabytes for anything these days, anyway. Yes. Buildings of tiers. Special rules of where it can be built. Huh. Question mark next to it. The tier icons are the placeholder for rural, city, and town. Oh. So tier 3, I guess, is just you can only build it in cities, or maybe if you have all 3, it lets you build them in all 3 of them. That's my bet. Yeah, it'd probably be that any of those 3 icons it shows, you'll be able to build them in those places. But yeah, it's cool. It tells you the rules for where it can be built. Yeah, manipulating prices for micromanaging, that sort of thing. In EU4, you can sort buildings by income. Yeah, that's one way to use the UI. Yeah, see the big green number. And there's a few more modern UI systems that have accumulated any goods that may need the macro. Alert for missing goods. Oh, okay. Yeah. Because it's a little more complicated, so they can add stuff to that, like alert. If you build it here, you don't have access to this stuff. I wonder how bad it is for some of your stuff, some of your land to be in someone else's market. I very much wonder. Maybe it's a handy thing if someone else does. And maybe you can just straight up we'll find out next time, but it's like, oh, I just want to know how markets work. I want to know if you can force someone through war to be in your market. I want to force everyone to join me as Genoa. Yes. Okay, yeah. Talking about the performance. Again. Please no market access price impact. Oh, I don't even remember how that works in Vicky. Oh, God. It's one of those things that I know certain counties are just really good for. But yeah, I have no idea why that would be a thing that they would add to this. And he's posting this again. Part of the filters. Yeah. If you need weaponry to recruit regiments, that means you need horses to recruit cavalry. Yes! Give horses for cavalry. You get no knights. You get no mounted knights if you have no horses. Sorry, buddy.
Poor Native Americans, they have no horse.
No horse, no cav. L/no cav. Imagine not having cavalry. Haven't played Imperator. Multiple castles in the province. Need all castles then. Yeah. You just siege all the castles to occupy it. Yeah, 18th century. Building slots. No. Yeah, there's no building limit. Say paper mill produces 1 unit of paper. Okay, the unit of paper is sold in the market to another country. If all my buildings in a cumulative total of 1 unit of paper, would the mill not provide a profit? Okay. So the price of the goods used to make the paper is less than the price selling it. Okay, yeah, we'll just have to see. That's what the trade is. The trade, we'll talk about that next time to find out, yeah, how likely it is for them to turn a profit by selling it to your own market, for example. Yeah. Buildings locked behind tech, of course. Okay, the Dutch getting polders, for example. Yes. Okay, but is that actually going to be a thing, though? Because that's really cool. If this is an example of something that actually would be, I'm excited to see that. Yeah.
Turn the wire.
It's
Turn
like-
the marsh into farm.
Yes.
Create a land.
The create land building. Yes. Build farm on water. I mean, that's what the Aztecs did too. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah, they built the city on top of the lake.
And then the whole having farms raised up out of the water. And then using that water that was already there to irrigate it. It's a clever technique if it works out properly. Preposterous. We must have stroop waffles as compensation. Yes, meatballs. He doesn't live in Sweden anymore. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Paradox Tinto is not necessarily so influenced by Sweden. Oh no.
Oh no.
You mentioned here production methods are about reducing the number of buildings. Hundreds of different types of building. Purely buildings. Purely building time. I can't wait to see all these buildings. I am so excited to see this. We used to have multiple granaries, but when we added production methods, we could reduce it to one, which helps with not having to rebuild buildings when potatoes.
Potatoes spread.
Oh, yes, yes, the thing. Oh, we'd been talking about that before. Potatoes spreading to Europe.
You've talked about it.
You and I did. We spoke about it together.
No, I don't think so.
What do you mean? I talked about it to you and you responded. That means it's a conversation. Vector was not involved, but that's okay. You didn't need to talk about potatoes coming to Europe. I think everyone should, though. They grow everywhere. They're good. Tasty. Why would someone need to be tagged? Netherlands or Dutch to build polders? I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to this man. That's like he's saying that's exactly the sort of thing that shouldn't be tag or culture specific, but that's the sort. What do you mean? It's something that they did and other people weren't doing. So it's the sort of thing that you do want to be a unique and interesting thing for them. Huh. Just like I want my fun Inca boys to be able to build unique roads in the mountains. I really hope that's a thing. I very much will want it to be a thing because that's what they did. They're really good at it.
No, it won't be.
Please, I beg. I beg.
You don't deserve it.
I deserve all good. All good, always. To see in peace a way to demilitarize your army? Huh. But you can... What? You can dismantle enemies' border forts? Whoa. Whoa. That's an interesting peace deal, for sure. In a peace deal, you just forced them to dismantle border forts.
That is in Vic 2. It's called Dismantle Fortifications.
Huh. That's cool. I like this.
And it is just used for exploiting. Because it's the fastest one to fabricate. Just declare that and add the other war goals after.
Ah. Wonderful. So you declare a war to dismantle your opponent's fortifications, and then you just later add the
Yep.
just taking the land, and then okay,
Yep.
great.
It's a classic.
Hey, I've seen this one. It's a classic. Is this feature fully implemented, working? Whatever the feature is. Resource gathering operation. That's what it stands for. RGO, resource gathering operation. What about when the castle is besieged? Invaders will block supply. The max garrison might decrease, but the actual garrison will not exactly desert. So once a castle's under siege, them not getting more supplies won't like suddenly make them just stop functioning. That makes sense because they're already in the castle defending it. Yeah, I said about 500 years. And date later than 1815 confirmed. Why? Are the precious metals converted into money directly? They're treated like trade goods, but they're added to added twists. So yeah, I imagine that using, because we saw minting as a thing earlier, so I imagine that gold and silver are going to be tied into that minting system somehow. There'll probably be some like sort of limit, like you having access to that gold and silver will probably be in some way affecting your ability
Time to destroy the Spanish economy by mining too much gold and silver.
Yes. I mean, you were talking about how you want to like you want to just throw a ton of people into Tyrol. Like, oh, you gotta
Yes.
mine more silver. So what if it destroys your own economy, huh?
Who cares?
I don't know.
More silver, more shiny metal.
More shiny metal, more good. More inflation, who cares? We'll just deal with that later. It's fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine, trust. I like the fact that government, military, electric buildings, playing tall, more engaging. We'll talk a bit about that next week. Becoming more centralized industrial economies. That should be interesting for sure. Our horses and RGO. If on the contrary they are produced by a building that requires horses to be built, you can organically simulate the introduction of horses. They're both. So
horses can be bred. So you could just make a stable that you breed horses in.
And you need an input of horses for that. But they also are an RGO.
You probably need an import of food. Because they're animals, they eat.
That makes, well... So you need access to the horses somehow from someplace.
So what I imagine is it probably requires horses to build, but it doesn't require horses to maintain.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense for sure. Yeah. You need that initial amount of horses to make, which enables you to say, people in the New World, they don't have any horses in their markets. Once they get access to some horses, then they can make the buildings that will produce horses. Yes. Makes perfect sense. That's actually a really cool concept. It's probably very much the same with potatoes. You get access to potatoes. Maybe you can then choose to build a farm that grows potatoes. Maybe. Or maybe it's a production method. Oh. Good questions. Good questions for later. We shall see. We shall see how that works. Yes, just me gusta albondigas, bologna, cheddar, yogurt dips, yum, whatever. Have you tried running a big empire like the Ottomans in Russia? Automate all your PMs. Give us some lights. based on your experience. The Ottomans are not a big... Yeah, that's true. Example of big empires at the start. the Osman Beyliks with their just like they got that corner of Anatolia. They're smaller than the Byzantines at this point. Example of big empire would include Delhi and China, I guess. I don't know who else would be a big empire at this point. About 3 to 4 hours of playtime each week. Yeah, I bet that the team lead doesn't play the actual game a whole lot. Not even got a country big enough to care since I got the feature a few weeks ago. Oh gosh. The Netherlands conquers Portugal. Surely they shouldn't be able to build those buildings there, right? Yes! If Portugal has marshes, why not? Yes! Yes! I want to make my Dutch polders in random marshes in like Brazil. Please. Oh my gosh. Oh, how does that work then? Where it's culturally restricted? Is it restricted then, based on? So is it your culture or is it the local culture? Like if it's a local culture and it's accepted somehow, maybe it lets you build. No, it's probably just you, the country, that it checks for. Probably. Only it wouldn't be both. Oh, that's it. That's it for the that's the end. Yeah,
that is all of them.
That's all of these. There's there's probably not a whole lot of new ones that would be worth looking at. The good responses are always on the newest Tinto talk. Oh, new Quebec. Yeah. Well. What else to say? I don't know. I don't know what else to say at this point then.
I can probably wrap it up.
I think so. Vector, who's hanging out, do you have anything else you'd like to say before I end this? He's done. We're all done then. All right. Well, in that case, I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.